What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for checking out the channel. Today's episode, if you haven't read in the title or the description, is an easy and cheap way to get your miniatures painted to a tabletop standard for your war games. Now, I don't want you to feel like you're isolated. Yes, I'm painting a Warhammer 40k models here, but you can use this for Dungeons & Dragons, or if you're a model train enthusiast, use your techniques you learn here to help you out with painting. The biggest thing that I want to do here is whenever I was getting started, back whenever I picked up my first strike set, or maybe nowadays when you guys are picking up your recruit edition, you're probably like, oh cool, I bought the rules, I got the models, I have to assemble and paint these. How do I do that and start playing some games in my local gaming store? Well, yeah, you're going to want to go through and paint your guys up. And you're going to paint them up to a tabletop standard. Now, what this usually means, asking from Reddit and going on Google and consulting everybody I can, is a 3-color minimum. Meaning that your tournament organizers, if you're going to be playing with a bunch of group of people, there's a kind of standard to say, you know, if you're not playing on the kitchen table, you're bringing your models with you to help kind of distinguish armies apart from each other and to show you're intimate about what you're playing and you get to create your own thing. You need to have at least 3 colors onto your miniatures itself. And so the technique I'm going to show you today is a little bit of a challenge for me because I wanted to say, all right, well, how would Johnny, if I was getting started into Warhammer 40k or another hobby, how would I want to paint up my miniatures as cheap and easy as possible and make it passable looking for playing games? Now, I want to keep your guys' attention here because most everybody stops about a minute and a half into my videos. So to give it to you here, simple as can be, you're going to go with 3 colors. You're doing a 3-color minimum, and that's where my mind was like, okay, we'll just use 3 colors for this video. How can I make a Marine look pretty good with only 3 colors? Well, for starters, you're going to get yourself a primary color. And yes, I'm using the cheap Apple Barrel paint, 50 cents at Walmart for this bad boy. It's up to you to decide what color you want to use. I asked friends, family, and my community just to see what your guys' thought was, and red was kind of unanimous there. So since I'm painting up assault intercessors, they're more melee focused, so blood angels is where my mind went. And I was like, perfect, we'll do red. But you can make this whatever color you want it to be. This is going to be your primary color for just about all of the power armor we're going to be using for your model today. So if you like blue, use blue. If you like white, use white. Orange, pink, green, purple, whatever you want to use, do it. I'm just using red. This is your primary color. This is a big one you're going to get, and this is dealer's choice. The other two, a little bit more locked and loaded on that side. Black, again, 50-cent cheap paint. Black is wonderful because it's great for using for your factory of your gun itself or the furniture of your rifle. It's good for leather belts and pouches and just great for different details. And black is kind of that unifier in all colors that if you screw up, cover up with some black, you're good to go. That's why most of my early armies, black theme, black armor and stuff, a whole lot easier to clean up. And then finally, I recommend a metallic gray or a silver. You're going to be using this for your magazines and barrels on your weapons. You can use it for different swords, but you can also use it for a bunch of different details, like your Aquila on the Space Marine chest, the different pauldrons as far as like getting those edges and details on there, and different clasps on there, different leather pouches and everything. That's where that comes in handy. So with these 3 colors, I'll show you today how I paint up a Marine pretty cheap, pretty easy, and make them look pretty okay. The other thing I recommend you pick up is 3 different paint brushes. I recommend a big fat brush. Now, this is an old makeup brush I got from my wife. So if you have a girlfriend, significant other, mother, or you just happen to find one at the store for dirt cheap, like going to Dollar Tree or Dollar General, get one of these. This is great for dry brushing and just getting a bunch of paint onto your guys. The other thing too is kind of a medium thick brush. It's going to be there to just, again, apply paint on there where that big fat brush could not make it. Again, it's great, and you want to make sure that these 2 brushes, these are ones you don't really care about, that you're okay with them getting kind of gnarled and frayed and a little bit old, because they're not going to hold their point after you're done with them today. And then finally, a detail brush. A lot of the start painting kits you might pick up usually has a detail brush on there. This is one that my wife bought out of a pack for me from Amazon. Pretty decent. I like it. It's great for getting eyes and a lot of those smaller little details. But yeah, this one you want to take real good care of. The other 2, you don't really have to care too much about. But with these 3 brushes, those 3 paints, that's all you're going to need to get started in painting some models. So if you want to jump with me over, I'm going to show you step by step how I painted up a Marine from being primed up to being tabletop ready.
Now to save some time and energy, I went ahead and primed my model black. Now you can use spray paint primer or liquid primer to do so. I used the liquid. Then I'm going to go through and start the dry brushing process with our red. Now using the big old chunky boy here, we're going to make sure to dab it on a paper towel to make sure we only get dry, kind of tacky paint onto our models itself. Now it really depends on the color you use. Some colors will show up a lot easier. The first coat, especially red on black when you're dry brushing, you can hardly tell there's a difference. At least from this camera angle, it's kind of hard to see, but when you look close and personal in real life, you can see that there is some red showing through. After my second time just kind of touching up the top there, you can start to see the red a little bit more, and so now I just get the thick brush. Now this will allow me to get into the deeper recesses that haven't been touched yet by the thicker boy, so it'll essentially make the higher edge stuff a little bit brighter, a little more vibrant, and have that contrast of red versus black, but also make sure to hit some of the deeper crevices and grooves and make sure that they have some red paint, even though it might be faint, onto it. This will create a nice shadowed effect across your models and really make it pop as far as looking as if you had some object source lighting or OSL on your model itself. Whether or not you're battling on a space Hulk out in the middle of the Gallo Dark, or if you're going out and fighting on a battlefield with the sun overhead, chances are there's going to be some different shadows on your model itself, so you have darker red spots, black, and even brighter red spots on your model to help signify that. As you can see, after I get the second coat with my thick brush on there, you can start really seeing that red pop on the model. We're moving on and adding the detail brush to the silver. I started with the Aquila just because I feel like it's the biggest part onto it, makes it pop, and then I also went ahead and added to the soldier powderons as well. Now it's time to move over and get some of those details. Like I mentioned earlier, you want to really focus on making the barrels of your guns, any blades you might have on your swords, and just different points on the weapon where you feel like, oh, this should be silver or maybe a gunmetal gray, and get those added onto there. Everybody has their own method for painting the teeth on the chainsword, and I just like to rake my brush across each of the top and the bottom of the teeth. Going a couple passes on it like I'm doing here allows you to really just hit every single individual tooth without making it really tough. As you can probably see where I brushed my brush with silver against the black, don't worry, sometimes you make mistakes. We'll take care of this in the touch-up phase, and mistakes happen. This is the rough draft. And if you want to go a little bit further in the details, you can really start touching up the tiny little pieces here, like these different magnetic clips or clasps, and the environmental pack as well. So now you can just take a look at your model and say, alright, do I feel like I hit all the details that I want to, or were there mistakes that I made that I need to touch up now? So behind the scenes I saw on the chainsword, hey, I got black paint that I need to apply to get rid of some of those silver splotches, and then I'm also going to take the red paint and kind of put it over where my silver bled over into where the red should be at. Even just taking maybe 5-10 minutes to review your model and see where you can touch up colors really just helps it pop and make it look a little bit more professional. Usually after my paint's dried, I'll go take another look at the model, see if there's anywhere else where I need to touch up. Like in this instance, I said, hey, the silver was still showing a little bit more rough than I wanted it to on the red, and I really wanted to make my soldier pop. And once you're done, now you have 3 colors only used to make a pretty good looking tabletop ready model. Ready for games of Kill Team, Warhammer 40k, or just simply any other war, tabletop game, or kind of hobby you're just into. Now chances are you're not just painting one person for your squad, you might also have leaders, like the sergeant model I have in the center here. I utilize blue for his plasma pistol and then some white for his cloak and his purity seal to really help him stand out compared to the rest of the soldiers and just give him a little bit more of a distinguished taste. So that way, hey, I've got these details, you can definitely tell this guy stands out apart from the rest of the team. Now again, your soldiers are probably not going to be in a vacuum, so you can also follow an assembly line method. So when you have a full kill team, or heck even an army that you need to paint up, it is a lot easier to make work of. And as you can see down below by their feet, I did color in some bases for the models. Now that's one thing that some Games Workshop rules say you need to have your models based, and personally I just like painting it gray or brown or whatever a dirt color might be to make it work. But you choose how you want to do it, and hopefully this helped you guys out. And with that, now you have an easy and cheap way to get your models painted up for your games of Warhammer 40k, Kill Team, or other tabletop games. If you enjoyed the content and you want to help the community grow, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Until the next time, I will see you guys later, and take care. Bye.